committee tonight with 5 first readings. We have no second, third, or pending. Starting right into it, we'll go to finance with Mr. Cutts.
We will open the Finance Committee meeting at 6:01 with all members present. Start with Resolution 20R22, a resolution authorizing the transfer of funds from the general fund to the police district and dispatch funds, and declaring that this resolution shall be effective immediately upon passage. This is our standard transfer to the police district fund of $150,000 and to the dispatch fund of $50,000. Questions from waive the 3? And we will ask to waive the 3 on this one. Next one, Resolution 20R23, a resolution authorizing an advance from general fund to 2907 COPS School Violence Prevention Fund, and declaring that this resolution shall be effective immediately upon passage. We have done this numerous times. It's a grant that we got working with the schools, and we had to be the lead on it and take the money, and now we're moving the money, paying for something for them, in the amount of $8,817.90.
Yes, it's basically, that was the outstanding amount. When we got to the end of the month, it was in the negative in that amount, so we have to cover it from the general fund with an advance like we did before.
Mhm.
At the end of the period when we get all the money back for the COPS grant, we will be returning that advance to the general fund,
Okay,
all of those advances.
questions? Ask to waive the 3 on this? Sweet, moving on. Resolution 20R24, a resolution amending the City of New Franklin Health Benefit Plan and declaring that this resolution shall be effective immediately upon passage. And this resolution goes along with Families First Coronavirus Response Act. It's been approved by our stop-loss insurance provider and all other parties to the plan. Basically, it's waiving the deductible for testing and treatment. Anybody have anything else to share with this?
It would also continue health insurance for 2 months for
Yes.
anybody that's laid off, and then it would also waive the 30-day return to work, so it would provide coverage. So hopefully we won't have to go to layoffs, but if we do that, it protects us.
Mhm.
It protects the people that are working for us.
Right. Questions, anybody? We kind of talked about this at the last meeting in pretty good detail. So we'll ask to waive the 3 on this, if that makes sense. Turning the page, Resolution 20R25, a resolution authorizing the mayor to accept a proposal from Basic Care Plus for the addition of MD Live telemedicine to the City of New Franklin Health Benefit Plan. This is a company that provides 24 hours, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, opportunity for people that are on the health insurance and their dependents, up to 8 dependents, where they can contact a physician, a board-certified physician, 24 hours a day. So instead of going to an urgent care, instead of going to the doctor's office and incurring that expense and the time that's involved for over 50 basic medical issues, from allergies, headaches, sore throats, nausea, cough, diarrhea, pink eye, blah, 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 on and on and on. You get on your phone, your computer, even the telephone, and get a hold of a board-certified physician and talk through your issues. They can even prescribe medicine, generic medicine if necessary, right to your pharmacy so you can go and pick it up or have it delivered, whatever. It's a cost of $4.80 per month, and that includes up to 8 dependents with this program. From what I saw, the program is normally $7 to $8 per employee, so we're getting this at $4.80 per employee plus benefits plus dependents. So it seems like a great price. Is this a 1-year contract, or is there a contract involved?
It's a month to month, so we
Okay.
can cancel at any time. The thought was we'd try it for a year, because it'll take a little while for it to get off the ground.
Sure.
And as you pointed out, that monthly fee, that's per employee, not per dependent.
Right.
So, yeah, so it's,
And is there a limit on number of times I can call and,
No, unlimited.
all right, excellent. This just seems like it's going to be a terrific opportunity for us. The big challenge is going to be getting people to use it. You know, and remembering you have it on your phone or remembering to make that call.
And I'll tell you, you know, if there's any silver lining in this ugly cloud, I was reading yesterday that people are becoming more attuned to this out of necessity. Because now a lot of the physicians are requiring pre-op stuff and those kind of things to be done by telemedicine. So I think that people will start to get used to it during this COVID emergency, and then perhaps find out it's a good thing.
Mhm.
So,
And I wasn't able to find any bad reviews on this company either. They seem to, you know, no, there isn't anything blatant out there saying, oh,
yeah.
you know, so I think that's a good thing.
Also something Becky made us all aware of, which is not a negative by any stretch, but as you can imagine, you can't walk up to any doctor anywhere and not tell them about yourself and what you're already taking before they prescribe you something or make a diagnosis. So if you call in, you may have to be doing that first before, you know, during that call, which will slow it down, but you also have the opportunity, and they're gonna push for that you go in and put in your information ahead of time, so that when you call, it's already there, and they can help you right away.
Mhm.
So that's the only thing that we really have to push people to go ahead and do that, so it works well for them.
And that's just one time, that's
One
not
time,
each
yeah.
call.
Right. And these physicians on here, if you've got something more than a telephone call, they're going to tell you. They're going to tell you to call your doctor. They're going to tell you to go to the hospital right away or urgent care or wherever. So they're not going to, you know, just, you know, go on with life, and good luck to you. If there's an issue, they're going to let you know and suggest you go. And one of the things they push in this, it does not replace your primary care doctor. This is just for something that's come up, and you want, you know, instead of going to urgent care, make this call first, and it may save you, you know, time.
And we, my company's had this for, not this particular company, but this telemedicine for several years now, and it's fantastic. And unfortunately, like you were saying, nobody's really used it much that I've spoke to until recently. But now everybody's like, oh yeah, we just do this, it's super nice and easy. And I think it's a great thing, very well priced.
Yeah. Other questions, comments? And I think this is something we can wait the three on. This is a great opportunity. It can save us money, especially if people use it instead of going to their physician or going to urgent care. If they can do this and accomplish what they need to accomplish, it's going to save the city money.
I do
Every
have a
time.
question, Jim, I apologize.
Yes.
Does it go into effect immediately?
I think we're looking for May 1st.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we did, we met with the healthcare committee, which we formed a couple of years ago, with representatives from the union and the department heads from all the departments, and there was unanimous consent that they thought it was a good idea.
Excellent.
We're supporting this.
Yeah, so we have 60 employees that would be a part of this. That's $288 a month. So basically, if two people use this instead of going to their doctor or going to their going to urgent care or the emergency room, it's going to start saving us money from that on.
Exactly.
So, all right, so we will ask to waive the three. Resolution 20R26, a resolution establishing the full-time position of dispatch assistant supervisor and declaring that this resolution shall be effective immediately upon passage. Paul, if you'd like to talk about this, I have some questions, but maybe you'll answer them as you go through.
Thank you. As part of this really came up and came to my attention when we did our contingency planning department by department. And we did that, we met with each department and we said, okay, what's the worst case scenario? What if we lose chief, assistant chief? What if we lose chief and captain, et cetera? And we knew what that chain of command was. And when we got to dispatch, dispatch it's interesting the way it's set up. It really functions as a separate department, but it functions under the auspices of the police. So there is no department head as such in dispatch. There is a dispatch supervisor, and that's Michelle Matheny, and she's done a fabulous job. As you know, all the things we've been through with this transition to PSAP. So, but we don't have an assistant dispatch supervisor. And we have an individual who has served in that capacity, in the sense that when Michelle's away, if she's gone, vacations, et cetera, there's been an individual, one of the senior staff, that's basically taken over those general responsibilities. So in light of, in looking at that and thinking about contingency planning, we thought we should make that a formal position. And to do that, I suggested the hourly rate of $20 an hour. The top tier of the full-time dispatchers are paid $18.96 per hour. The intention here is to hire from within. I would expect that one of those top tier people would be who we would look at. And that would then result in an hourly increase of $1.04 per hour to take on that assistant supervisory position. It does not create any void in terms of the operations over there. That individual, whoever it turns out to be, will continue to function and be a full-time dispatcher. Michelle is a full-time dispatcher, so even though she's a supervisor, she's in one of those stations. And whoever the second in command would be would also be in one of those stations. So I think, you know, particularly at this time, it makes sense to have somebody formally in that position, and because it invited that same what if. And what if, rather than just being gone for a week, somebody's out for a month, or 6 weeks, God forbid. So that's why we thought it would be a good idea.
So it's more of a title that we're creating. It's a position.
We're not creating a new
Not a
position.
new okay, well, I feel a lot better.
Yeah, it's just a title.
Okay.
No, we're not hiring anybody new.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, those were some of my questions, if we're gonna have to, you know, create a new position, bring in another person. And at what you said, $1.40 an hour?
$1.04.
$1.04?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah. So, $40 a week.
yeah, no, yeah, and I was looking at it per year, but yeah. Bleh. Okay, and then as you said, this is not taking the person off the phone, they're
Correct.
still performing their job.
Yeah.
You know, again, like Mr. Fetterman, I have concerns that we're going to be bringing in another person and bring someone else up on the benefits and things like that. But, yeah, I guess it kind of makes more sense now.
And, you know, I apologize, I didn't give you guys more of a heads up. It has been a very interesting couple of weeks, I can tell you. So there's a lot of things I really, I was doing that for a while. I'm gonna try to do a little better at that and give you some background on these things as they come up. But it's been an interesting couple of weeks.
Really, what's been going on? Questions, comments? I guess we can ask to waive the 3 on this. We will close the Finance Committee meeting at 6:13. Thank you for your time.
All right, thank you. All right, we're still in committee. Anybody have anything in their committees they'd like to discuss? All right, we're gonna go ahead and call the order of the city of New Franklin, the Thursday, April 15th, 2020, at 6:15, please. For the
I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Mr. Cotts?
Present.
Mr. Hargit? Present. Mrs. Jones?
Present.
Mr. Fetterman?
Here.
Mr. Hawk?
Here.
Ms. Norris? Mr. Stock?
Here. Okay, I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes from our regular scheduled meeting of April 1st, 2020.
Second.
First and second, any discussion on the minutes? Roll call, please.
Mr. Hargit?
Yes.
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Fetterman?
Yes.
Mr. Hawk?
Yes.
Ms. Norris?
Yes.
Mr. Stock?
Yes.
Mr. Cotts?
Yes.
All right, that passes 7-0. Make a motion to approve the financials for March 2020, subject to audit.
Second.
First and second, any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Fetterman?
Yes.
Mr. Hawk?
Yes.
Ms. Norris?
Yes.
Mr. Stock?
Yes.
Mr. Cotts?
Yes.
Mr. Hargit?
Yes. All right, thank you. All right, going into our public comment, I'm gonna change things up here a little bit. At our April 1st council meeting, comments and questions from the public were received and read. 2 were purportedly from David Howe. The question was from him. He has advised us that a comment was not. In response, we did not post a video from the April 1st meeting. I am now asking council for a motion to strike the record the comment purportedly from David Howe, but which he advises was not from him, which was read at the April 1st meeting. Can I get a motion? Motion and a second?
Second.
Got a motion and a second, any discussion? I'm gonna go ahead and make it a roll call vote. Roll call, please.
Mr. Cox?
Yes.
Mr. Hargit?
Yes.
Mrs. Jones? Mr. Fetterman?
Yes.
Mr. Hawk?
Yes.
Ms. Norris?
Yes.
Mr. Stock?
Yes. All right, based on that action, the comment and the question would be removed from record and edited from the video. Thank you. Going forward, tonight, we will only entertain questions regarding issues raised during the meeting. We will review the question, and if it's seemingly authentic, we will present the question to council without providing the identity of the person asking the question. In the future, we will consider procedures which might securely permit public comment. We apologize for any embarrassment the previous issue may have caused and for any inconvenience to the public as a result. All right, thank you. We're gonna go ahead and move right into our, did we put some back up? Good enough. All right, we're gonna move in, again, we got 5 first readings, no second, third, or pending. Resolution number 20-R-22. Kelly?
A resolution authorizing the transfer of funds from the general fund to the police district and dispatch funds and declaring that this resolution shall be effective immediately upon passage.
This resolution is assigned to the Finance Committee, and we move to waive the 3 readings on Resolution 20R-22.
Second.
Second roll call, please.
Mr. Fetterman?
Yes.
Mr. Hawk?
Yes.
Ms. Norris?
Yes.
Mr. Stock?
Yes.
Mr. Cox?
Yes.
Mr. Hargit?
Yes.
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
We move to adopt Resolution 20R-22.
Second.
First and second, any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Fetterman?
Yes.
Mr. Hawk?
Yes.
Ms. Norris?
Yes.
Mr. Stock?
Yes.
Mr. Cox?
Yes.
Mr. Hargit?
Yes.
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
All right, that passes 7-0, thank you. We'll go to resolution number 20-R-23, Kelly.
A resolution authorizing an advance from the general fund to the 2907 COPS School Violence Prevention Fund and declaring that this resolution shall be effective immediately upon passage.
This resolution is assigned to the Finance Committee. We move to waive the 3 readings on 20R-23.
Second. First and second, roll call, please.
Mr. Hawk?
Yes.
Ms. Norris?
Yes.
Mr. Stock?
Yes.
Mr. Cox?
Yes.
Mr. Hargit?
Yes.
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Fetterman?
Yes.
We move to adopt Resolution 20R-23.
Second. First and second, any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Hawk?
Yes.
Ms. Norris?
Yes.
Mr. Stock?
Yes.
Mr. Cox?
Yes.
Mr. Hargit?
Yes.
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Fetterman?
Yes.
All right, thank you, that passes 7-0. Move to resolution 20-R-24, Kelly.
A resolution amending the City of New Franklin Health Benefit Plan and declaring that this resolution shall be effective immediately upon passage.
This resolution is assigned to the Finance Committee. We move to waive the 3 readings on 20R-24.
Second.
First, roll call, please.
Ms. Norris?
Yes.
Mr. Stock?
Yes.
Mr. Cox?
Yes.
Mr. Hargit?
Yes.
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Fetterman?
Yes.
Mr. Hawk?
Yes.
We move to adopt Resolution 20R-24.
Second.
First and second, any discussion? Roll call, please.
Ms. Norris?
Yes.
Mr. Stock?
Yes.
Mr. Cox?
Yes.
Mr. Hargit?
Yes.
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Fetterman?
Yes.
Mr. Hawk?
Yes. That passes 7-0. Move to resolution 20-R-25, Kelly.
A resolution authorizing the mayor to accept a proposal from Basic Care Plus for the addition of MD Live telemedicine to the City of New Franklin Health Benefit Plan.
This resolution is assigned to the Finance Committee. We move to waive the 3 readings on 20R-25.
Second.
Second roll call?
Mr. Stock?
Yes.
Mr. Cox?
Yes.
Mr. Hargit?
Yes.
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Fetterman?
Yes.
Mr. Hawk?
Yes.
Ms. Norris?
Yes.
We we move to adopt Resolution 20R25.
Second?
Any discussion, questions? Roll call, please.
Mr. Stock?
Yes.
Mr. Cox?
Yes.
Mr. Hargit?
Yes.
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Fetterman?
Yes.
Mr. Hawk?
Yes.
Ms. Norris?
Yes.
Passes 7-0. Move to resolution 20-R-26, Kelly.
A resolution establishing the full-time position of dispatch assistant supervisor and declaring that this resolution shall be effective immediately upon passage.
This resolution has been assigned to the Finance Committee. We move to waive the 3 readings on Resolution 20R26.
First and second, roll call.
Mr. Cox?
Yes.
Mr. Hargit?
Yes.
Mrs. Jones? Mr. Fetterman? Mr. Hawk?
Yes.
Ms. Norris?
Yes.
Mr. Stock?
Yes.
We move to adopt Resolution 20R26.
Second. First, second, any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Cox?
Yes.
Mr. Hargit?
Yes.
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Fetterman?
Yes.
Mr. Hawk?
Yes.
Ms. Norris?
Yes.
Mr. Stock?
Yes. All right, that passes 7-0. That takes care of the Jim Cotts show for this evening. Moved into, we have no second, third, or pending, right in the mayor's report. Paul?
Thank you. Well then, everybody continues to adjust, and including everybody in this room. And everybody's been available, and it's been all hands on deck, and I can tell you that the same is true across the board, all the departments. We meet 3 times a week. We began in this room, and now it's by Zoom. And I think it's been very effective, and we try to cover anything and everything. As you know, we invoke the state of emergency. We put into place our emergency operations plan, and part of that is that continuity of service and that continuity of information and communication. And so I'm pleased to tell you that everybody is working really hard, and it's working really well. And I closed today's meeting by asking, is there anything that anybody thinks we can be doing that we're not doing? And the feeling is that we're addressing this as efficiently and effectively as we can. The emotional end of it is another story, as all of us continue to react to this strange set of circumstances that there's no game plan for it. But I think that's, the way people are built and the way people respond out here. They seem to do it in a positive way. And I have no doubt that people will continue to respond that way out here. For our purposes, we try to take all the healthcare measures that we possibly could. And we're doing as much social distancing as we can. We have administration now that's working largely from home. As you know, we went to 1 person per truck in the service department. I'm very happy to announce publicly that the officer who had contracted the virus is back on duty and is healthy, and appreciates all the prayers and all the support that the officer received. From the financial end of things, and when we talk about planning, I mean, we went through each department and we've covered the contingency plans, and we've gotten really good support from our neighbors. To the police end of it, I reached out to Canal Fulton, I reached out to Lakemore, Norton, reached out to Barberton, reached out to Lawrence Township, the Summit County Sheriff, that in the event that we had shortages, would they help? And of course, across the board, they all said, yes, they would. They always have, and likewise, we assured them that we would as well. The same thing is true in the fire department. As it relates to service, we reached out to Green, and we have their support as well. So I think we're, and as far as dispatch is concerned, we reached out to the Southwest Summit COG, and talked with the mayors out there and also with the head of that department. They assured us that they were available if that meant bringing dispatchers out here to fill shifts, or if, God forbid, the entire department went down, we could shift it over there. So all the contingency planning is in place. We shifted then to the financial end of things, which is crystal ball territory. And there's some things we know for sure, and they're not all that promising, and there's some things we don't know. But we began by taking a look, Susan and I sat down on April 6th and took a hard look at what our primary revenue sources are. And they are primarily property tax, about 3.4 million, income tax, about 3 million, gas tax, a little bit over 700,000, local government funds, 372,000, motor vehicle license, about 120,000, permissive license, about 122,000. Those are the primary ones. When we talk about $12 million, money comes in from other sources. We have, you know, the road project on South Main is gonna be $1 million project. So that money comes in, but it goes out. So these are our primary streams. And I'll rely on Susan to catch me where I miss on this stuff, because we are blessed to have Susan. She is very, very good at this. I don't want to bore you with all these numbers, but I want people to know that we're taking that look. To predict where we're going to have shortfalls is tricky. The gas tax, we were told, is down 40%. Driving is down 40%. So we could take the hit there. The income tax, we did get a projection from Rita, an initial suggestion of what type of shortfalls we might expect to encounter. They're in that 10 to 20% range in terms of, you know, some of it might be a delay and some of it might be a reduction. So we just have no way of knowing that right this minute. We've had plenty of conferences. I mean, the lines of communication around the state and around the county are really, really good. And I was on a conference call at 5 o'clock, 4 o'clock today, with about 150 mayors from around town, and from around the state, and also Kent Scarrett, who's the head of the Ohio Municipal League, and the budget chief from the governor's office was on the line as well. They say initially they're not seeing much, but it's a little early to predict what the shortfalls are going to be. Local government funds, that's a relatively smaller amount of what we get, but that's going to be tied to state revenues. That's a percentage of state revenue, and we know the state revenues are going to be down. So everybody's in that holding pattern right now in terms of what it's going to amount to. We took a position that, you know, what if 20% reduction? And when it's going to occur is a little tricky as well. Because, for instance, property taxes that were paid in January, that was before the fact. So probably we expect we won't see much of a ding there. But when we get into the ones that are due in July, are they going to move that date out? And by the way, it turns out the legislature would have to do that. That's statutory as well. So the legislature, they're going to be back in session the first part of May, and whether or not they kick that date out, I don't know if they will or won't, but that probably is going to delay some revenue source there. So you know, I think 20% is hopefully a safe number. It's not a happy number, because that's $1.5 million. What we don't know is there going to be is there any avenue for replacement of those funds? In other words, and I guess I'll speak to that in a minute. We then met on this past Monday on the 13th with each one of the departments, and we took a look again at the appropriations. We took a look at where can we save money. You know, is there what can we trim? As you know, the vast majority of our expenses are people. We're in the business of people. So police, fire, service, EMT, etc. And from the equipment end of it, you know, how much of this is, we really didn't have any capital improvements on deck. So we looked at line by line. Police and fire, I'll sum up by saying there wasn't a lot of fat in there, because they're not buying a lot of stuff this year. There's no big fire engines or anything like that. The police were going to stay on their procedure of replacing cruisers, and they were on track to get one at the end of this year, and it looks like we'll push that into the following year. They have radios, but we have to get those. From the fire perspective, there's just not much. There's no big purchases, no vehicles, anything like this. They're getting some dive gear, about $10,000. They can push that back. So there's maybe $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 maybe we can save in those two departments. The parks, there's nothing in dispatch, that's all dollars. The parks and recreation, we do have we were finally in a good position with a nice carryover. We thought we'd be able to do some things, get the portable restroom trailer for the Tudor House, do a pavilion over at the Sisler. Yes, it is snowing, by the way. Wow. And so and a number of other things we were gonna try to do, we had some money to do, and we can probably save $120,000 between the parks, from the parks and the Tudor House with the expenditures that were in the budget, we had the money for, but we just won't spend it. That moves us along. It doesn't move us to 1.5 million. So the other thing we looked at was the chip and seal program. And we were on board for the chip and seal program for, as you know, the total was $458,000. We are not, I asked Brian to talk to them, and we're not the only ones who asked. And so pretty much across the board, well, I don't want to speak for that, I haven't seen the numbers, but my understanding, but they put in place, what their recommendation was they expected us to honor the base bid, which was the $95,000. That was for the first, we had like an A, B, and C, or 1, 2, and 3. And so the first one was $95,000. So they would expect us to honor that one, but put the other two on hold and see what happens financially. So that would be the alternate 1 and alternate 2. Alternate 1 is $213,000, alternate 2 is $149,000. Between the two, that's $363,000. So we don't do that till June or July. And we gave them that notice. We've been advised that we can add those back on. And we'd have to do it when they're out here. So we got a little window of time to evaluate that one. And, but I think there's nobody in this room that wants to slow that down. That's for sure.
Well, I would rather slow it down than lay off any employees. So that's just my perspective.
Yeah, I agree. So we have that in place, and this gets us in a range of, with that, $600,000-$700,000. There's other places we're gonna be able to cut. Everybody's gonna be very frugal. But maybe that's half that number of a projected potential deficit. Now, on the upside, there's $2 trillion coming from Washington, and there's $4.5 billion of that is coming into the state of Ohio. And all of that is designed as financial assistance for COVID. And I've said this to you before, but I'll say it out loud again. So that sounded good, and then we looked at it, and it turned out that there's only direct payments to municipalities in excess of 500,000 residents or counties with that number. And the $2.5 billion, and this came from Columbus Today, it's a 60-40 split. 60 of it stays with the state to disperse, and 40 goes out to those others. So it comes out to about $2 billion that goes out to the others. Summit County is going to get $100 million. And then we had Summit County on the line on Tuesday morning. And what Summit County tells us is out of that $100 million, Brian Nelson ended up saying that, he's concerned that when this is all over, they might have to send most of it back because as it's currently written, it can only be used to cover expenses that were incurred new expenses as a result of the COVID. And none of it is designed to replace revenue shortfalls. We hope that that's just because of faulty drafting. Whether or not they can disperse any of that to municipalities of that 100 million, they don't know. They're looking for guidance on that. And if they can we use it to make up our revenue shortfall? They don't know the answer to that one either. The budget director for Governor DeWine's office, who I was on the phone with, she was at 4 o'clock, she doesn't know the answer to either of those questions either. Because those funds that the 1.5 billion that the state has, they're able to disperse it as well, but they don't know if they can disperse it for revenue shortfalls. So there's a lot of discussion going on that right now, and there's a suggestion that maybe there's gonna be additional funding coming from Washington, which scares me, because I don't know where they're gonna get the $2 trillion from. But, you know, I would be hopeful that what they do is they fine tune this and say that we can get some of this. The numbers that we have, we've been lobbying, not just us, but I'm gonna tell you, we're right in the middle of it. And, you know, I've been able to raise my hand enough times. We had Sherrod Brown last week, and I was able to ask a question. We got Senator Portman tomorrow, and I'm on the list to ask a question over there, just to let them know, hey, we're out here in New Franklin. But we do have hard numbers to show them. We don't just say, gee, I think we're gonna be short. We're able to say to them, here's how short we're gonna be. And here's the things we're not gonna be able to do, because we don't have the revenue. So I'll keep you posted on all that, and I just, you know, want you to know that we're banging away, and I tell you, I'm optimistic that that'll get fixed, and that I think the amount that of our potential shortfall, from when I hear the numbers that are there ought to be sufficient funds to cover that. But it's a day-by-day deal, and we'll keep following it. And it's the kind of thing that we're probably gonna feel it later rather than sooner, in terms of the actual revenue shortage. Is that a fair statement, Susan? Okay. All right, so that's a lot on finance, so that's where we are in that regard. All right, gift cards. We had a good conversation 2 weeks ago, and there were some really good points brought up by people in this room, and Jim, I'll point to you especially. And you took the Scrooge cap, but we had some comments that were well taken, and as a result of that, but council, I still appreciate, unanimously said, listen, let's do it this first time, and so that's what we did. I will tell you that we used 8 restaurants that are still open in the city. I'm gonna try again, because I know I won't get all 8 of them, but PLX, Lala's, Rendino's, Caluchas, McDonald's, Subway, Dano's, and the Upper Deck. And universally, they were very much appreciative of that was $300 for each of them, $2,400, and they were all very appreciative of those funds. And then yesterday we passed them all out. Katie did a really nice press release. There was a photo, Beacon called today, right, and talked about it. And we emphasized, that this was an action that council supported. But that also, we mentioned in the release that the suggestion was, can we expand this to more than just the food service businesses? And there's a way we can expand this out to the public. And those are all good points, because people were correct. Our people, thank God, they're still working, and they still have benefits, and there's a whole lot of people that are laid off and got nothing. Witness that we heard from the Manchester schools today, just on an off conversation, that, oh, by the way, over the last 7 days, they prepared 2,000 breakfasts and lunches. So somebody out here still needs breakfast and lunch. We wish so hard that we could do more. But we can't do everything, but we're gonna try to do something. So we talked to the employees, and we carried you guys' concerns to them and ours as well, and they unanimously said, thank you for what we got. You don't gotta give us anything more. If you have funds to do something for somebody, do it for the public. So we are in the process of trying to transition into something like that, and I'll approach you with an outline of a program. We don't know exactly what it's gonna look like yet, but, you know, we mentioned, we did have some contributions already. We had some other people call and wanna know how they could help. And what exactly we can do, we'll find out. We'll try to raise some funds. Whether the city can dedicate any funds, we'll have to consider that. And I'll take that to you folks, of course, before we do anything like that. And if we do gift cards again, we certainly can expand it to any retail business that's open in the city, not just food service. We wanna, because I still think it makes sense if there's some way to pump in money into the community. Some cities, I apologize for going so long, but there's a lot going on. I'll try to wrap this up. But, you know, there are cities, the county started a program, as you know, and I floated it out. I gave you guys the info on that, where there were gonna be $5,000 grants available for small businesses. To get to the head of the class on that, they wanted cities to donate $25,000 to that plan, and the guarantee was at least $25,000 would be distributed out in the community. But that translates into 5 businesses getting $5,000 each, which would be great, but, you know, what about the other 120 businesses we have out here? So I did not, the more I heard about that plan, I didn't come back to you and suggest to you that we do that. And now it turns out they had the initial applications at the beginning of the week. They had something like 1,300 applications. They're gonna be able to issue somewhere around 150 grants. And that's it. And whether that'll come back, and I'm not knocking the county, God bless them for, they're trying, you know. But we don't have $25,000 to put in a pot like that, but maybe we can find a way to peel away some funds and maybe attract some state money, we'll see, so that we can be a resource for people who are in need right now. 2 other things on that. One is, Grace Bible Church, God bless them, has reached out to us to see if we would like boxes of pantry food for distribution to residents. Residents have to be 60 years or older. They can have 1 box per person. There's 2 people in there, they get 2 boxes. They'll be available in a week or 2. We can request up to 2,000 for New Franklin, which sounds like an awful lot, but we got 5,500 households, and probably half of them are 60, you know, households are 60 or over. So as of now, initially I said maybe 500 boxes, but maybe we'll take as many as we can get, and that would be a good start. And then we'll figure out how we're gonna go about distributing these. One way we'll be able to do that, I am running out of gas here, is our New Franklin Volunteers Program. And we did get that up, and that's on the website and the Facebook pages. And we've put together a sign-up sheet for people that need help and for people that want help. And then for people who are able to give help. And so far, we've had more volunteers than we have people in need. So we're gonna continue to try to publicize that, and we'll tie that in with what we might be able to do with these pantry boxes. And, you know, I think that's a program that'll grow, but we still have a lot of people that want, what can we do? And so we're trying to put in place programs that will let them give back.
Paul, with that pantry box thing, could we include the community of Clinton?
Why not? Yeah, sure. I mean, in my view, I don't know, what do you guys say? I don't know why not.
Yeah, they're a small community. And,
Sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, well, I'm almost done. The census is happening, and they're expanding. I wasn't even sure what the deadlines were, but now I know what they are because they moved them out. And I think it's moved out now to Halloween, October 31st. Right now, nationally, 48% of the population has responded. In Ohio, 51.8%. In Summit County, 55.3%. In New Franklin, 59.1%. So we're ahead of this, we're ahead of all of them. That's pretty good. And I'm really happy to report Major Nuggebauer, Mayor, I know you don't watch this, but I hope somebody tells you that Green is at 59%, and we're at 59.1. So we're staying ahead of you there. We love those folks up there. They're so helpful up there. They're such a good neighbor, and the mayor and council have been very supportive of everything we've tried to do together up there. So if you got time, tell your friends, pass the word. We're getting stuff every day from the census people saying, please, please, please get people to turn these numbers in. It's critical. 59 is nice, but it's not 100. We got to get 100. All right. I think I'm almost done. Real estate tax relief available to victims of the recent storm. And this is that situation. You know, we get these after a lot of these windstorms, and it's like, yeah, who's gonna, you know, whose property value went down significantly enough from a storm to get a reduction in your real estate tax? Well, I think we know the answer to that one this time. I don't know what's going on, how it snowed today, and we had a tornado last week, and we had 70 degrees, and then we had snow again, so if you feel, if you had damage, particularly significant damage, please get a hold of the Summit County Fiscal Office. Just Google Summit County Fiscal Office, and the prompts will lead you to appraised value, or if you need help, call us, and we'll tell you exactly what path to follow. We'll see if you can get some reduction in your property tax if you suffer damage to your property, and there was a lot, particularly at Pueri over there by Quail Ridge and Boston and Melcher and Melton and those areas. It's horrible. The service department, Brian Kepler, and I know Dale was out there, and they had some of his other staff. Those guys were out there in the middle of it, and they had just a mountain of work, and they've caught up and got all the roads open, et cetera. We are going to be trying to connect some of our volunteers with people that they need help with yard waste, and that really does bring me to, I think, my last comment, and that's the yard waste collection. Is set for Saturday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. The way it's going to work, the residents pull up, the residents unload, the resident leaves, and then our guys will deposit it into the dumpster, and then the next car comes up. Or if there's a series of them, they'll let them, you know, the car leaves, the next guy dumps, and whenever they need to, they'll use the backhoe and they'll stick it in the dumpster. We will carefully observe social distancing. Our folks will have no contact with the people in the vehicles. They'll be far away from them. We received there were a couple questions that, how can you do this and still ask people to social distance, and it can be done. Our neighbors up in the city of Green opened up there and are doing something very similar for yard waste. So it's particularly apropos now. So we're going to go forward with that, and we got grant money for that. But it's not about the grant money, because now we know Republic doesn't pick this stuff up. Where's it going to go? I don't know about you, but I got a stack of it to take over there. So we'll make sure we observe the social distancing on that one. What I missed?
Shredding day.
Yeah, I'm gonna get to shredding day. Thank you, though.
Real quick with the brush day on Saturday,
Yeah.
if somebody has an issue and they're not able to unload or don't want to get out of their car to unload, will we be able to unload their truck or car for them?
Yeah, I'm sure we can accommodate that.
Okay.
Yeah. And shredding day is still on, and that's the 25th. We had questions about that one as well, and that one will operate the same way. It's for residents only. When the line comes in here, they can show their driver's license in the window, and we'll verify that, and they'll move along. They'll never get out of their car. Their windows will never be down, and there'll be one or two people from the shredding company, and we'll have one or two people from service to back it up, and we'll have a couple of police officers on duty to get them in and out. Everybody will be observing social distancing on that one. That also happens to be a grant program. So we think that we couldn't find any good reason not to do that. But I want to reassure everybody, we're doing everything we can to reinforce social distancing, and we're not doing these kind of things carelessly. We're doing them carefully, so. All right, thanks for all that time.
One more thing with the brush minute, what's the address of service department? for
That is
people
an
to-
excellent question. Susan, what's the?
I do not know off the top
It's
of my head,
Hampshire
I'm
Road.
sorry, it's Hampshire Road, yes.
Right,
6523.
Thank you.
Thank you, that's good. 6523 Hampshire
She
Road.
is on it.
You go up Nimisila, and you're gonna turn south on Hampshire, and it'll be on your left.
You good? All right, thank you, Paul. Finance?
I don't have too much to add. We are working at home now and coming in, as the mayor said, when we need to. We're having lots of Zoom meetings. It's keeping us all pretty busy. So if you need anything, please contact us. We will be in and out. Still doing the same amount of work, just at a different location, and we've had a lot of growing pains to be able to do it this way, but we're managing. As the mayor said, everyone in all the departments are really tightening their belts and expecting a shortfall and making sure that we can, do the best with the amount of money that we have. So I'm grateful that they're good at watching their budgets and they're getting a lot more practice right now. That's all I have at this moment.
Thank you. Old business.
I do. I just wanted to say thank you to our special projects coordinator. I think we've been seeing some great information coming across on our website, on Facebook. People are seeing it, sharing it with other people, commenting on it. There's a lot of good information. I think that's only going to continue to grow. I think she's been doing a terrific job and creative with what she's been putting there, and I'm just very excited that we're finally doing that, and it is a huge benefit. And the things that you're posting on a daily basis and your messages, people find very helpful. So thank you, both of you, but especially our special projects coordinator. Is it?
Any other old business? New business?
So I just have something real quick. I just want to mention and recognize Emily Lucas, who has, and I'm sure this number is escalated by now, but has sewn over 450 masks, which has equaled over 3,000 yards of fabric. She's delivered 3 batches to St. Luke's.
Wow.
Other local nursing homes, individuals around the area, as well as sending a bunch to New York City. I don't know where, I'm assuming they went to a certain point. She can just send them to New York, but I don't have that information, but just a thank you to her and what a nice commitment, nice West Sider.
And I should mention, there's another West Sider who also donated a bag of masks, one of which, well, 2 of which went with me, one for me and one for my wife, and that's Nikki Fetterman, who so graciously did that. And so we really, really appreciate that effort. I'm glad, I'm sorry I didn't mention that sooner, but I'm glad you mentioned it so we can mention it. We appreciate it very much.
All right, any new business?
David, I have one.
Yes.
One of the area residents, his mother's quite ill and she's going to pass. And in lieu of flowers or donations, he's making a donation, having everyone send their donation to New Franklin Fire Department.
Okay.
And that's another thing that people can do, because we aren't doing funerals now. And so sometimes we can add in the paper donations going to a certain facility. And also, I'm not sure if most people realize when they donate to a food bank, that food banks actually buy much cheaper than we do. So you can take money and give it to people for food, but if you donate to the food bank, and we have a couple of very good ones around, but they buy in such quantity, they get it so much cheaper. You can feed so many more people by donating the money to the food bank. And I know over in Barberton, they have one, and they're helping New Franklin. And I talked to the gentleman today from Akron Canton, and they're even going in with some of the farmers, so that the farmers are gonna get money for their produce that they can't sell to the restaurants. So the food banks are going to start buying. So if you donate money to them, they buy in surplus, and it's much cheaper. They can donate a lot more than we can.
All right, great, thank you. Very good, thank you. have David, yeah. I think the mayor kind of went over a little bit of it.
Some sort of topic to talk amongst ourselves here.
So what do you think of the Yankees?
Oh, they're not playing.
The Browns in new uniforms.
They're not, they just done it, they're into that.
I like it.
Judy, that's what we did, we just donated to two food banks.
Just what we do too.
Yeah.
And I talked to Dorothy Sexton, she is from out here, and she family to one of Barberton now.
Yeah, we just took money there and they said, come back and tour their facility.
That's what they told me too.
Yeah, when this is cleared up.
Well, I was surprised that the Akron County Food Bank serves 8 counties, over 500 agencies. And they're drinking the Feeding America. Now, we donate to them. This is my first time donating to the Barberton. And I called Terry's sister. She used to be, I think she's retired from Salvation Army now. And I said, Beth, who would I donate to for the dinner? And so she told me.
Right.
But I was very pleased with all that they're doing.
And they're, obviously,
Reaching out.
they're reaching out to all of the South Summit communities.
I thought so
Norton,
too.
Clinton, New Franklin.
I was very, but it's nice, because that's something we can donate all year.
Yes, and
Because
the
it's
need
not-
is high.
They do, and that if we donate even $10, they can buy so much more, than you and I could go and buy.
We got a couple here we're gonna go with, and the first one from Kevin, but he came back and said that you pretty much answered it, but he wants it read into the record anyhow.
It's from an anonymous.
Oh, yeah, not, sorry, yeah, yeah.
All right. Good evening, and glad to see everyone is doing well. Here's my question. Due to the almost certain reduction in revenue to the general fund as a result of the number of folks currently not working and business lost during the COVID-19 pandemic, what are the city's plans to fiscally prepare and absorb this impact? In reality, these losses may not be seen until third or fourth quarter. Have you thought about pausing hiring, service, and purchases? And if so, what services can we expect to see cut or pause? I'm assuming the city is looking to be proactive instead of reactive and have a plan in place to counteract any negative impact we may see. Could you please discuss what these reductions could look like?
Again, that comment came back that you would address that, so
Yeah.
we're good with that.
Yeah, and at this point, we're trying to do everything but reduce staff. But that would be the last resort, only because we're at such bare bones to begin with. But that would be the next move if we had to.
Second question, should the public comments be heard before legislation is voted on due to the fact that residents may want to comment on them before they are passed? Please explain how we are to question something if we don't have a chance until after it's potentially passed.
I mean, if our legislation goes out on our Facebook page, I mean, if somebody has some questions at that point, they can contact somebody on council with concerns. I mean, does that make sense to everybody?
Well, but we kind of explain things during committee meetings, and we talk about the reasons for it and the purposes, and I can see where there's a concern. That's, I highlighted some things on our thing. I do have a concern about not being able to have public comment, whether it's just general comment, because this is a place where people come when they have a concern in their community or in their neighborhood, whatever. And I think we have to figure out a way to provide that opportunity for them. And then we've always allowed people during committee meetings to ask questions or ask for clarification on how things, what does that mean? How's that going to affect, what whatever their issue is. And you don't really get to see, we see the agenda, but we don't see the ordinance to get more information. We don't see the invoices or things like that on Facebook to get more information. So you really, may not have a question until you start hearing
Yeah.
some of the
I mean, what I would invite council to do, and I'll certainly participate in it, is brainstorm a little bit and see what we can come up with to be responsive. We really kind of ran out of time to try to put something together. The issue itself arose not too long ago. So among the things that we talked about even before the meeting was, well, maybe for instance, in terms of comments, we ask people to submit those in advance. Maybe we say, get your comments in by Tuesday or Monday, maybe Monday of meeting week, and have a phone number so that we can reach you, not just your name, so that we can follow up here and confirm that you are who you said you are. And is this your comment, to the extent that we're able to do that. So that might be one way to let some of the comments in. Perhaps to move the questions at the end of the committee meeting.
have both.
At the end of the committee meeting and at the end of the full meeting, so they can ask those questions before things come to a vote, so that might work as well.
Green has something in the, maybe the suburbanite little advertisement about their meetings and going to virtual meetings and some of their policies as far as comment. I think it's like up to 4 o'clock the day of the meeting, if you had a comment or wanted to send in. So maybe we could look at what didn't say it, but maybe look at what they're doing and see if that would, parts of that could work for us.
This looks like a job for our special projects coordinator.
It sounds like a special project.
But yeah, what we'll do is, we'll circulate some ideas, see what everybody else is doing, and circulate something to council so that you guys are comfortable with it, and try to have that in place for the next meeting.
And at this point, this is housekeeping items, I mean, I'm sure people have some questions, but I would hope through this time that we're not getting anything brought to us could be possible, more people being more involved, like we're,
Right, and
transferring money and that, and people
Right.
have some questions, and that's something, if you see it says that we're transferring money, they don't need to see the whole legislation. If they have a question, they can ask us that after they see that. So if we keep our stuff to housekeeping, which is nice, and basically you can read off if you have a question about a transfer of money, if we're gonna, spend so much on, providing telemedical, so I think some of it could be done with the question before a certain time or whatever, so.
Okay, one other question is, do I need a building permit for a shed?
I would say call zoning. We have zonings here, right?
Yes, they're on duty.
Because there's different, so zoning, call zoning at
461,
882-4611.
Say it a little louder, there's a couple
Okay.
people having trouble hearing.
882-4611.
And if you get the voicemail, please leave your name and number, he will get back with you. In fact, through our office, majority of everything's going to voicemail. Please leave your name and number, and what the concern is, we're checking them on a regular basis. We are sending out those voicemails to whomever is the proper person to answer it, and we're logging all the calls, so please make sure you leave the information so that we can help you with that.
And you can also email zoning. He's very good about responding to his email at zoning@newfranklin.org. And that might even be faster than leaving a voicemail. Just send him an email and he'll get back to you. He's quick.
All right.
It's just a comment.
Comment. I asked several meetings ago to read all resolutions 3 times like it was designed to. You failed to do so. I want that in the minutes of the meeting. Mr. Cox read it 3 times, problem solved.
Not sure what that, go through 6, you're saying he wants to go 6, whatever this is, 6 weeks before we pass anything, is that what that's?
Yeah, we talked about that, and not passing anything, and you kind of just brought it up with a lot of this is just housekeeping stuff. And I know for me, I'm being very aware of what we're looking at and what we're asking to waive the 3 readings on, and if there's something, anything that, like, for instance, the basic care, is something that's an added expense, a new expense for us. But it's something that's gonna be a huge benefit for us, and it's not that huge of an expense, being at, $288 a month. But if it's something else like a bathroom for the tutor house, that, we're gonna take time on that. And we're going to give people an opportunity to voice their questions and their concerns. But as Mr. Stock mentioned, a lot of what we're doing now is just basic housekeeping, and it makes sense to move forward without going to 3 readings. But if it's something that's, I don't want to say controversial, but something that would bring question, I'll definitely ask for us to take time on it.
And I don't think we've never not, I've been up here 16 years, I don't think we've never not done that. You know, there's times if you get, I mean, I'm not saying we read everything 3 times.
Right.
But there's times that it comes out, we read it, nobody hears nothing about it for weeks, you read it again, nothing, then you're gonna pass it, then, you know, it's like, sometimes it just comes up that way, or if it comes up, we're getting ready to write a grant, and it just came up, and we gotta get that grant in, then we'll pass that on something, on a reading or 2, so. But you count how long I've been here, Jim?
No, it's just
Okay.
having fun.
It's been a long time. 2004, 2005.
Okay.
16 years.
We appreciate your service, thank you.
I'm just, and you act like you're trying to.
No, we're all the same on this, and I think it's, you know, I think we can all say that none of us have ever experienced anything being ramrodded through, or let's hurry up and pass this before anybody has a chance to think about it. I've never seen that ever, you know, in my days here.
Okay, again, we'll work on this, somehow we'll get something out on the website within the next week, maybe, website, maybe Facebook, about something like the idea.
Yeah, and start, you know,
Having, you know, if you got some comments, get them to us by Monday at some time, a comment, so we can do some research, and then questions, you know, maybe heads up on some questions.
we'll kick something out to you to
It's
start
it's
the
gonna be a work in
conversation with
progress.
council.
Yeah, we're learning.
We'll throw a rough draft of a protocol out to council, and you guys weigh in on it, and we'll fine tune something, and try to have it in place by this time next week, so.
Because even if you just open it up to questions before you close the committee meetings, you'll at least give them another opportunity before it goes to a vote.
Like I said, I would rather have this room filled with people and not going through this.
Mhm.
So we're not trying to do this, keep people out because we're trying to make something happen.
I think everybody understands that.
Yeah, but sometimes you don't think everybody understands it. There's some people out there who don't get that, so I have to make that comment. All right, so, executive session?
Yes, we need an executive session to discuss personnel issues in the police department. We will do it in the big administration office, not in the conference room, so that we can observe the social distancing.
Can we do it here?
Can we turn the
Turn it-
cameras off?
we
just-
Right here?
What's the,
I'm not sure how we can do that with the cameras here. and with-
Oh, because the meeting's still going on technically, and we have to come back and
We
close
can
the
spread
meeting
out pretty
afterwards.
good back here in this office.
All right, I move that we go to executive session for the purpose of police department personnel.
Yes.
Roll, can I get a second? Second, roll call?
Mr. Cox?
Yes.
Mr. Hargit?
Yes.
Mrs. Jones? Mr. Fetterman?
Yes.
Mr. Hawk?
Yes.
Ms. Norris?
yes.
Mr. Stock?
Yes.
I mean, it's-
Okay, no formal actions will be taken during our executive session.
And we don't anticipate any action after we're done either, just for people that might want to stay tuned or not.